You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
Oh man, I bet out of all the voices you expected to hear, it wasn't this one. What's going on? This is Alex from the Something Good Network, owner, editor, all that good shit. And while these boys are talking about their own cryptids, conspiracies, and cults, I've had my own conspiracy to figure out, which is who has been messing up these recordings. And during the middle of this one, I actually figured out who, and I fixed it right then and there. So for the first little bit of this, hang tight. The audio is a little rough, but then after that, it does kick in and get a little better. All right, boys, take it away.
You don't know about the other side of the pyramid? The fifth side? It's called the floor, you dumbass. I just want to make sure he realizes there is a fifth side to the pyramid.
And once you open your fucking mind, learn to play the goddamn therapy.
I know all of them, and I believe none of them, which makes me an expert. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Cryptic Conspiracy Cult. This is Chris with my co-host,
Quinn.
And today we will be speaking about something I'm not 100% knowledgeable on. I'm not so much as a pro on this one, a master of none, really. But Quinn has a story for us, a nice little yarn about a new conspiracy and a cult. But before we begin, we have another guest for us, Mikey Black.
What's up? How's it going? Quinn's got notes. Quinn's got a lot of notes.
Yeah,
they're all disorganized.
Some red yarns and poster boards.
Dude, I was scared I was going to get to that point. It's not even funny. Like, I'm sitting there writing. It fucked up because I didn't tell my wife what I was writing on. I had to explain it to her before I came over here today. She's like, you still haven't told me what the fuck you're working on. I'm like, oh, shit. Well, all this yarn in here is really...
Do you have a computer?
I do not.
Oh.
Yeah. Just never bought one. Never.
You look like the kind of guy that would have a computer.
I have two.
He didn't even look like the kind of guy that would have a computer.
He does look like the type of guy. He told us he worked from home. Of course he has a computer.
Yeah, I got that one. I got one at my parents' house. I got a backup tower.
I've only owned like 2 computers over the years, and the fucked up thing is I lost both of them.
You
just
lost them.
Lost them in the annals of time.
The annals?
The annals of time, Chris. I think I know what I'm talking about here. You know, because I read
the annals. The annals of time. Not the butt fuck of time.
Potato, tomato, tomato, annals. You know,
I don't want to hear about your Mick Irish recipes. All right.
Why don't you go try to find your way out of this fucking house again, you stupid fucking Pollock?
Oh, that's a Mikey joke.
That is a Mikey joke.
Oh.
This Irish motherfucker be stealing jokes.
It doesn't matter. He stole people's land.
It's okay. I know where you parked.
Of course you do. Because you were watching the Jewish guy who parked next to me. It's in your genes, you kraut bastard.
So, what are we talking about today, Quinn?
Today is going to be the Finders cult, the Finders of Lost Children. Pretty much how the CIA and parts of the FBI... That's my pen. Give me my pen. It's my pen. You click it twice, it shoots a poison dart.
I get one fucking co-host on the show I want to do, and he gets fucking uppity when I'm like, hey man, tell me about this stupid shit you know. I told you all the stupid shit I know. He's got notes and shit. I didn't need notes. I broke down the fucking white supremacy movement from fucking 1985 to 1994.
There's a lot of information. You try reading 600 plus pages of fucking FBI documents, most of which are redacted in places. Like this shit.
It's probably like reading like Lord of the Rings or some shit. It's probably the same goddamn thing.
He made up half of it.
He made up half of it.
There's hobbits, there's little people.
Trolls.
There's trolls. Orcs, or like we say, whites.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of this was kind of swept under the rug because when it started coming out, this was during the height of satanic panic. And they really didn't start soft releasing a lot of the other documents that were composed after it all happened, when it was kind of put to rest, until 1993. And they didn't drop all of this stuff on the vault, the FBI vault, until October 25th, 2019. So it's pretty new, most of this shit. This stuff like goes in depth with I don't know if you ever heard of the name John Tower.
Yes.
He actually has a form of involvement in a way in this, because under his school, he helped kind of lay the foundation for this place called the McMartin Preschool in Washington, D.C.
I knew more about the McMartin Preschool.
Where they found the tunnels.
Yeah.
This ties that in to where the tunnels went to different apartment complexes. One of the apartment complexes that's in this case that gets raided is part of that conspiracy as well. But it's to the extent where the FBI is covering the CIA's ass in this case.
Now, when I did the research on this, I was more looking for the end goal. And we'll talk about it on part 2 of this episode. That's right, folks. You get a 2-parter. Because the amount of bullshit that we have to go through.
Yeah.
But I did see a lot of speculation, not just about the CIA on this one, but the FBI involvement.
Yes.
But also the infiltration of certain government groups or the alphabet squads.
I mean, at the head of all this is Marion Petty, who is a retired Master Sergeant of the U.S. Air Force. Started this back in the 1970s during the anti-war movement, late 60s, early 70s, height of Vietnam War.
Yeah, I've heard, and we'll get to it toward the end, but a lot of it's speculation of what you could do, I guess, in their kind of ways. A lot of, is it the CIA? Is it part of MK Ultra? Is it part of a spy program? Is it are they hiding the fact that it is Satanist, or is the CIA a Satanist group? Or if they do hide the Satanist group, is it to prevent a panic across the country? It was very elaborate on like the different endings, theories of this cult. That's right, folks. It's a cult and a conspiracy on top.
Yeah,
Maybe it's encrypted.
At this point, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, like, and the shitty thing is, it's like, I want to say it's a conspiracy, but there's just so much evidence and news articles. They interviewed the people, of course, the people involved with the entire concept of it. Marion Petty and another gentleman named Robert Gardner Terrell, both kind of put it to bed, dissuaded everybody. No, don't worry about it. This is what it really is.
That's the great thing about the conspiracy theory. You can take based evidence and mix it with some other shit.
Exactly.
You kind of just make up your own thing.
Of course. Now,
kind of like the Baptists.
Yeah, pretty much.
Presbyterians.
In this case, there's only a handful of good guys. It's pretty much 2 men against the fucking machine that is the government. The NWO, probably. No, I'm not going to go that far. I got to find my tinfoil hat. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, the Hardy Brothers.
Sting?
Sting. He's the biggest one of them all.
Oh, my God.
But, going into this, I didn't know what to expect from it. I didn't know how deep it was going to go or how far up the top it goes. But, dude, there's a lot of reading material you can go through to find even more about this. Robert Terrell released a book. There's accounts from Congress, members of Congress. One of them was actually a Democratic senator from the state of North Carolina, mentioned it at one point. Tom Lewis from Florida talked about it in 1993. But I guess we should go into this now.
Before we do, Mikey, have you ever heard of this story before? The Finders Cult or the Finders
Only
Lost
what Quinn has told me on our car rides to gigs.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
I'm half paying attention.
Yeah, I'd stop halfway through and just kind of look at him, and I didn't have to say it, but it was a mutual understanding. Like, you listening? No.
It involved Dragon Ball Z.
He's stoned off his ass listening to Dragon Ball Z music.
He's stoned off his ass. He doesn't realize it's the 3rd time he's telling me about it.
You've already fucking told me this. Sorry. So, kind of got something written here. I kind of half-assed this, so don't mind my writing, because
it's written in Arabic. It's from right to left, not left to right.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. I used to write for the Baghdad Inquirer. So to begin this story, I propose the use of a quote by one of the likes of Nelson Mandela. Quote, "The true character of a society is revealed in how it treats its children." While the former president and major civil rights leader within South Africa emulates a scintillating reflection of society per the surface level, I must counter his statement with an inquiry of which encompassed the sheer shock, bewilderment, and disappointment that engulfs this playful story of corruption and the apathetic homicide of youthful innocence. A little wordy, but,
Nelson Mandela said that?
Not all that, but...
I'm about to say, he's not real, so I don't know why...
No, the quote there was the... He's not real. He's not real. They replaced him.
Same like the Bernstein Bears. They're not real.
Neither is the cornucopia from the Fruit of the Loom.
Fruit of the Loom. What the fuck is Fruit of the Loom?
Oh no, I've gone too far. They've gotten rid of Fruit of the Loom.
So I would say, like, on the surface of this, how does it really kick off?
Well, I guess the best way to be would be to talk about a day on February 4th, 1987, where the city of Tallahassee, Florida, received a 911 call at approximately 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The caller turns and says to the TPD dispatch, hey, I noticed these kids sitting out, 6 of them, sitting in a circle with these 2 well-dressed men looking, like, watching them. Mm-hmm. And kids are dirty, look disheveled, look like they haven't eaten or showered in weeks.
Yeah.
So, genuine wellness check, you know, child endangerment, height of satanic panic, state of fucking Florida. You imagine the police response was quick. Police respond, I believe her name was Judy Kelchecki was her name, or I have her name written here, but, you know, it's buried. But essentially they come up to these guys and they turn to them, question them about what's going on.
Yeah.
The 2 men then turn and explain, oh, we're teachers trying to bring these kids to a school for brilliant children down in Mexico. We're on a road trip. That story also changed as well because at another point, these same guys were saying that they were originally traveling to Kentucky to build a retirement community, of which there was some backing. There was a reverend out in Kentucky that mentioned they were supposed to come out there. But, you know, you can only believe that at face value.
Now, from what I understand, the Kentucky story was backed by a man who was building a retirement home.
Correct.
But at no point did the police kind of question themselves on that with bringing what are the age range of the children?
2 to 7. 2 to 7 years old. And their names are actually was what got me. Because the police eventually questioned them about it.
You hear the shuffling papers first.
Yeah, I got tons of papers. Tons of papers.
It's all redlined and highlighted. There's a lot of red yarn residue. Coffee stains.
Coffee stains, cigarette burns. I know I have it here somewhere. I wish I would have organized this better.
Oh,
it's at the back of the first page.
It's a grocery list of a madman.
For real.
You didn't number them?
The names of the kids were Mary Houlihan, Max Livingston, Benjamin Franklin.
Is that funny?
Benjamin Franklin? Really?
Dead serious. Honeybee Evans, BB, and John Paul Houlihan. Now, two of those...
Here, folks. Mikey thinks kids are funny.
Yeah.
Who are being kidnapped by the CIA.
No,
Funny.
Two of these kids turned out to be the daughter and stepson of Michael Houlihan, one of the 2 suspects at the scene. Michael Houlihan and Douglas Ammerman were their names.
Played by Chris Farley, I believe.
Yeah. Chris Farley and David Spade.
David Spade would own a van.
No, these guys are... I wish I could show you real quick, but these guys, they both have like those fucking porn stashes, but one dude's got like he's almost has the Fu Manchu, but then he's got the handlebar mustache. It's bad.
He's got a Fu Manchu and a handlebar mustache.
It changes. It goes from being downward, like a Fu Manchu, to being just a really thin handlebar mustache. Like he looks like he fixes fights at the docks in like 1910s New York.
What the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
He's a criminal.
Oh yeah, and the other dude's
other
dude's got that thick porn stash from the 1970s, and it's 1987. It's like, dude, that shit ended already. But yeah, they say that they're going to a school. Brilliant kids trying to construct that down in Mexico. Cops are like, yeah, you're full of shit, buddy. You're under arrest.
Yeah.
Take them in. Police reports say that they were charged with child abuse, so they're going to sit in jail for a good bit of time. I believe they sat in jail for what was said 40 days, 41 days.
Yeah, so when I was going to research, I was more focused on that part during the research. It was child abuse, reckless endangerment, and possession of a stolen vehicle. And
that stolen vehicle, the 1979 Dodge van, is where really a lot of this is cracked open, the whole idea of what this group could be. So they searched this 1979 Dodge. They end up finding things like 20 count, probably more, floppy disks. It's back in the day. Old school computer from, back in the day. Chinese English dictionary. Countless maps. Something called the Ballad of Ballads, which you later find out reading into this, and also some of the other YouTube channels I've watched that have delved deep into this. We've read the documents.
Solid sources.
Solid sources, just because they talked to the actual people. This guy's interviewed one of the guys that were on this case for the U.S. Customs Service.
Yeah, so going into the customs part of it was because I believe it was the children that was the cause of the customs thing.
Yeah, because when the TPD was interviewing them, they had found not just neglect, but there was also sexual assault cases. They had somebody from the health department come in and investigate as well.
I think it was because they had a child pornography as well.
Yep,
because that was part of that was under customs at the time.
There was photos of children, both
on
nude.
the floppy disks.
No, actual like Polaroid photos in a duffel bag.
What was on the floppy disks?
Floppy disks. I'm not sure.
Stuff. Big floppy disks.
I think a lot of it has to do with the telexes that are found later on during the two raids.
Chinese launch codes.
No, but there is
right next to the Chinese English dictionary.
You'd be surprised that they did have a connection in the embassy in Hong Kong that was contacting them over the sale of children.
Yeah, and I believe when one of the children was approached by an adult, they said that, or the cops, basically, they had mentioned that if they did good behavior, they were able to eat.
That's correct. That's
which
correct.
kind of plays into the whole child abuse thing.
That came into when they were interviewing Mary Houlihan, who was the only child that could speak, because these kids were petrified. Yeah. I mean, they were being taken into the police station. A few of them pissed their fucking pants because of what was going on. They didn't know where they were being taken. They had been shuttled around quite a bit.
Yeah.
And the oldest was a girl.
Mary. She was the only one who could talk.
Now, I do know some of the photos they had found. Not only was explicit photos of children, but it was also children in white robes around a dead goat that was what looked like a sacrifice.
That was found, but it was found in the warehouse raid, which is where the customs guys come in, because they called up the local customs office to figure out who these children really were, because they could tell they were aliases. And to further add on to that point, they asked Mary what her real last name was, and Mary turned and said, which one?
Yeah.
Which made them go, okay, these aren't their fucking real names. They call the local office. Local office calls federal office up in D.C. That's where this guy Ramon J. Martinez comes in. He's the big like hero of the whole thing, even though they fuck him over in the end. He doesn't end up dead. He just...
You gotta be a hero with a name like that.
Yeah,
shit.
For real.
Ramon J. Martinez.
He wound up being a whistleblower later on. But he gets onto this case, and the TPD, the Tallahassee Police Department, also calls the Metropolitan Police Department in D.C., because the two guys, Emmerman and Houlihan, both turned and said that their parents totally consented to them coming with them. They were still residing up in D.C., so they're calling the local police department to see if they have anything on either one of these guys. At some point, I'm not sure where they mentioned the finders, but
I do recall that a part of this, which is kind of funny, was they were in D.C. and were going to Kentucky, but were caught in Tallahassee, because that's the fastest way to get to Kentucky from D.C. is to go to Florida.
Yeah,
that's fucking stupid.
It's the dumbest fucking thing possible. Like, they could not keep their story straight. And then Robert Terrell Gardner is the one who was saying that, where it was like, these guys were saying they were going to Mexico.
Yeah.
Who the fuck, why can't you get your story straight?
Yeah, so your two kidnappers basically are like, oh no, we're dipping to Mexico.
Yeah.
And the guy who's like tubbling for him is just like, nah man, we're going to get to Kentucky.
And moving forward from this, we're going to kind of just go to the very next day, February 5th, 1987. There's a Florida State University student. I gotta go through these again.
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, right.
The juice.
The juice, man.
Oh wait, no, he's retired. He's not. By 87, he's not. He's not in college anymore.
He's
playing for the Bills.
Why do you know that?
He ran for 11,000 yards and chopped a woman's head off. Of course, I fucking know that.
On one day?
No, it took him time. He did a Hertz commercial, a couple of Naked Gun movies.
I still can't believe he's in Naked Gun. I gotta organize this shit better.
I'll get you some red yarn.
For real, and a fucking whiteboard.
I was going to take all of Alex's posters down and just start putting up fucking written scripts and like articles and pictures.
That's what I needed.
It's just a long yard, like one giant red yard string going from Katy Perry to fucking O.J. Simpson to JonBenet Ramsey to George Bush.
Well, I can't seem to
FDR to 9/11.
Can't seem to find the student's name, but FSU student.
They got to you, didn't they?
What's that?
What?
They wiped it. They took that page.
They took that page.
Gradually, I've been losing pages out of my notebook.
So you losing pages out of that fucking autobiography, huh?
That Alzheimer's is a real killer.
The government created Alzheimer's.
You know what the best thing about Alzheimer's and dementia is? You can hide your own Easter eggs. You know what's even better than that? You can wrap your own Christmas presents. You know what's even better than that? You have the best Halloween costume. You look in the mirror, you don't recognize the fucking person.
Thanks, Picasso.
Who are you? I don't know.
Put that one in your stand-up. That was perfect. That was a good joke. Wow.
A better one is just like you get to fuck your wife like it's new every time.
Who are you?
You get to fuck strangers.
Slow down, baby. Let the Parkinsons do the work.
Oh my god. I'm having a seizure just
The
thinking
motion
about
of the brainwave.
But day after all this happens, FSU student finds a computer that's just randomly sitting in a fucking phone booth on campus. Guy goes, okay, what the fuck is all this? I'm just going to take this back. It's a free computer. It's 1987. Who the fuck is going to see it?
If only that were you.
Only that were me.
Let's talk about that for a second. It's 1987. A man found a computer.
Oh, yeah.
It's still the floppy disk age, too.
And so someone had one of those old school like suitcase laptops, probably.
Yes.
Where you crack it open.
Yes.
95.9% of that motherfucker is all machine. The screen's about as big as an iPhone 1, and it's all fucking DOS, like MS-DOS.
And that's really, it's telex messages.
Yeah.
That's all it's on there is telex type of stuff. So kind of reminds me of I had to look into what telex was because, I'm I'm a millennial. I'm stupid. I don't understand old technology.
Well, long ago, someone invented the typewriter and then put a machine on that motherfucker.
No. Them things that would always click?
Yeah. Clicky.
But takes it home, doesn't open the fucking thing for, I think, a day, 2 days. I think it was February 7th. He finally opens it up and looks in and decides to log in. Fucking thing was already logged in.
If someone found this goddamn thing today, if an FSU fucking person found this, they would be selling that motherfucker on
that
eBay.
Shit would be on TikTok right now.
Oh shit, look what I found today.
For real, though.
It's your boy Chili Billy here back at fucking here on TikTok. Oh, we're going to be doing phone booth searches.
But like,
just getting pepper sprayed by the guy who owns it. Get the fuck off my shit, bro.
Fuck is wrong with you? I go to take a piss and I got to deal with you?
It's actually a college professor's fucking laptop.
Oh yeah, go figure. Yeah, he's got photos of the fucking lacrosse team.
Swing that shit.
He's changed his name 4 times. We already knew it. The
Catholic priest, he bounces from lacrosse team.
Kid finds it. He ends up finding a bunch of messages, pretty much detailing trafficking, detailing how to kidnap children was one of them, how to avoid law enforcement. This is also backed up by what's found in the apartment raid in D.C. Later on in this story. So turns it over to the Tallahassee Police Department, and they're continuously compiling a case. Now, around this time, I think it was the 14th, but a week later, the Washington Post is actually or the Washington Times is actually one of the first newspapers to come out about this and talk about it. They mention the finders by name, pretty much state it's a satanic cult right from the get-go. This is further confirmed by a source supposedly they had in there, because every good decent reporter has somebody on the inside of a case that's working it that can tell you, which is either Jim Bradley or Jim Skirtner. I forgot his actual last name, but another Jim. And further backs it up by stating, yeah, we've been watching this cult since 1985. That was also with the correspondence from Tallahassee and Metropolitan Police Department. Metropolitan Police Department just told them, yeah, we've been watching them in this warehouse since the early 80s, early part of this decade. And turns out that they had been operating out of that warehouse, and the cops had run surveillance there over the years. They had seen children coming in and out in the same types of vans that were found down in Tallahassee. Now, from what they saw, they also saw a lot of influx of women and men, all dressed formally, going in and out of the place on a near nightly basis. There's one story of a cop that went in through one of the open windows when they first bought the building back in 1975. That the leader of this whole thing, Marion Petty, who they track him down and figure out who he is based on Mary's testimony, telling these cops that they used to quote unquote play games, which the games were really fucking weird. Like one of them was they'd take like somebody who had holes in their shirt and then run away with it and then plug more fucking holes into it. They'd keep them at times either in cages or like in dark areas. It wasn't really like hide and go seek. It was all weird type of stuff. One thing that would happen is that for fucking, I think Christmas one year, they just had this random ass naked woman just walk down into the basement. There wasn't really anything further corroborated on that. But it was like taking this with a grain of salt because of these kids went through something traumatic. So you don't know if they're trying to repress that memory and try to make sense of it at their age, or shit this crazy could have happened. Which after the Metropolitan Police Department clarifies with Tallahassee, it ends up the intelligence division of the DC police ends up tracking down addresses that were already under some form of investigation. One of which is one of the apartment complexes I was mentioning earlier with the McMartin preschool, with the tunnels that went underneath there. Because they stumbled upon tunnels that were similar nearby that apartment complex of which the intelligence division dug up.
Yeah. Now, going to Satanic Panic real quick. Do you guys know the history of Satanic Panic? How it really got ramped up?
Mm-mm.
So during the Zodiac killings back in the day, they believed that the man was a Satanist of sorts. Satanism has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the early 80s during the Reagan administration that it really kicks up. There is an individual who was doing basically shows, performance shows, for churches. A man who'd come, he was basically a preacher of some sorts, but he would talk about these ideas of Satanists coming to your community and taking your children and kind of grooming them and stuff like that. Much of what we're hearing today about, schools and stuff like that. But and his was total bullshit. A lot of his stuff was made up from his own mind. He wrote constant articles about Satanic Panic. One of these played a big role in the West Memphis 3 trial in Arkansas. Damien Eccles and the other two boys were basically found guilty and sentenced to life in prison because of this belief of Satanic Panic. It happens much more, especially in the Midwest and the South, but it really played a big part into answering what was the problem. Because in the 80s and 70s, we see more and more information about serial killers that basically become this new thing. So you had cult leaders and stuff like that, but you also had serial killers and hey, where are these serial killers coming from? Oh, they're all Satanists. That's what it is. Ted Bundy's a Satanist.
Richard Ramirez was around this time too, so that really kind of cultivated the
Night Prowler.
Yeah. And that's what really pushed this narrative forward. The problem is
Just trying to avoid mental illness as long as we can. Can't be that. Must be Satan.
It has to be, of course. It's the same shit. It's no different than back in medieval times. We like to think we're more of a civilized society, but we kind of fall back on that
He's
same...
got demons in him. No, he doesn't. He's just schizophrenic.
Put some leeches on him.
Just feed him nicotine until he shuts the fuck up. He'll be fine.
He's honestly, we don't really treat it any different, so it wouldn't surprise me. Fuck it. He just pack of cigarettes. Smoke the entire pack. The voices will go away, and you'll get a nice buzz since you never smoked.
We're teaching him not about the voices inside, but about brand loyalty.
Brand loyalty.
Marlboro, baby. Karen's been smoking Winston. She hasn't had a period in years.
Oh my fucking god! It's because she has ovarian cancer. You prick.
But I just going into this. So we're talking about the late '80s, going into the early '90s. With all this information, you're talking about the cop showed up at this place. I'm just picturing when I first was doing the research about this, especially the formal wear people going into the warehouse,
in the apartment building too. They were in and out.
Yeah, but just coming in and out. I just imagine that these are some eyes wide shut type parties. It's just with people in cages and shit.
That's actually what a lot of people. You're not totally off the beaten path with that too.
So from the research I've done on it, it just seems like this is set up to be more of a traffic type situation where we're trafficking children as property or a commodity,
Right.
and we have to move them constantly. And I think that's where the whole van and warehouse thing comes in. A lot of this too is the National Forest Service at this time. This is another part that kind of got off the beaten path on the story was more and more people. The increase of missing people in national parks had increased in 85.
Was substantial by 85 too. Yeah.
So roughly about 50,000 people had disappeared across the country in some sort of national area forestry or something like that.
And like not even in the normal, like there was evidence, there was, you know, the
Like a bear got them or anything.
Nothing,
Or like no,
just
someone got them.
vanished without a trace, not a single shred of them left behind. In some cases you'd find maybe like a shoe, something small, but they around this time wasn't this also around the same? No, that was in the 70s with the Native American tribes in the upper Midwest in Montana, where the FBI was Rage Against the Machine actually wrote a song about it, where they raided the reservation.
Yeah, but with the Blackfoot.
Yes, and people were going missing up there, and the local FBI office was getting blamed.
Yeah.
Fucking Predator got him.
Yeah, the Predator, the Wendigo, Bigfoot, the White Man.
The White Man.
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal, probably. He needed extras. Don't do a deep dive on Steven Seagal, folks. I've done it for you. He's a monster.
He's a terrible human being.
And shitty karate.
So the apartment that came up during that search, came up when the investigation division was tracking down the addresses, was an apartment over in Glover Park. I looked everywhere I fucking could to find an address. I couldn't. I was able to find an address in the warehouse, but Glover Park, which was in that trifecta of tunnels, I mean, there's a lot I could really say about this.
You're going to the daycare with the tunnels. Now, this was a hub for missing children as well?
There was a belief, yes, just because of a 7-inch hole that looked like food scraps were thrown down to it. And this kind of goes into what those kids were talking about. Ted Gunderson of the FBI was the real big spearhead in regards to that investigation. He also headed the investigation on Jim Tower. Now, they censored Jim Tower's name in the documents, which is what got me, because it's an obvious reference to him, because they're trying to cross-reference the McMartin case that they find here with his case. And it's like, I don't understand why you're going to redact him when he's already dead. You know, he got sent to go live with family, and he eventually passed away. And I think he got sent to Europe, of all things. He got sent out of the U.S. Did no time.
Well, anytime, like I will say, anytime you're doing a Freedom of Information Act kind of thing and they do a redaction of a name, a standard operating procedure is go ahead and redact the names of the dead, because now you can do what's called conspiracy to commit, where anyone he knows that is still alive could be part of
that group,
a fictional cabal. So you could argue, like for example, the report for JFK's death is highly redacted.
Yeah.
If it came out that, hey, that while he was being murdered or something like that, LBJ was like in one of those buildings watching it happen. Like if that was to say, like, and they said, hey, so and so in this building witnessed it, and we can't say his name. Now, what if it did say his name and he's already dead, but it came out to be someone higher up, like let's say one of the Bush family or something.
They still have the connections. They have stuff out.
Yeah, so that you would actually bring credence to a cabal of sorts, which would cause a bigger problem in evidence chain.
And that's how you wind up like most of the people in Arkansas when Bill Clinton was the governor. You asked too many questions.
Yeah, you asked too many questions, and a good version of this is the Contra soldiers that were found roaming the woods of fucking and towns of Arkansas because they got dropped there because of Sealy.
And then you get what I refer to as the Gary Webb special.
But that's a whole other story. But it also has kind of the same kind of caliber of, hey, does this person who's going to be president of the United States have ties to a conspiracy to allow crime in his own state?
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is too, Reagan is president at this time, if I remember right.
1987, yes.
Well, that's the funny thing, because Terrell was doing an interview with one newspaper in 1987, where the Tallahassee Police Department got in contact with them. Newspaper had a contact within the police department. Story got leaked. He's wearing a fucking Ronald Reagan mask.
Yeah.
Like, that's what kind of got me. Now that you mentioned that, to where it's like, if he's willing to cover up that, who are these guys to cover up this? Do they know him? Do they have connections that far? Because there was Tom Lewis was one of the people that really was kind of up in arms about it, but he dissipated just as quick as he started, which leads me to believe that there's some kind of shadiness that goes higher than just Marion Petty, who had served in the Air Force. But I mean, if,
well, that's the great thing about that's the great thing about a conspiracy of something like this. There's multiple answers. We talked about this when it came to the Mothman. Is it aliens? Is it a man in a suit? Is it a collective hallucination caused by gas leaks? It could be all kinds of things.
Then that's kind of what I've been trying to go in with this, because it's like it's so easy to fall into this to believe it. It's just. It's fucking nuts, dude. I
think it's because of all the attractive things it has.
Oh, yeah.
So it has a cult. It has a shady leader. It has multiple law enforcement agencies involved, FBI, local police, CIA, stuff like that. And you're kind of left with a total, kind of a blank check to write what's actually happening. And you can just take any building blocks that you want to and shape them into the castle of conspiracy you really want.
And I actually found the address of that duplex. It was written in a fucking Washington Post article.
Yeah, that's not cool at all.
No, like they also...
Hey, this apartment B, 123 Sesame Street.
Hold on, I think
bunch of fucking crack dealers.
Nope, they don't have the specific apartment, but they said it was at a duplex at 391820 West Street Northwest in DC. The other one I think is 1307. I can't even remember the fucking street name, but anyway, yeah, the warehouse was on this corner, apartment was over up here, not even a mile away from one another.
Okay.
Just kind of
like a close knit,
very close knit, keeping your operations close but not too close. So kind of going into the warehouse raid. This is where shit kind of hits the fan. So Ramon Martinez like that is when I found more like about him, like he did a whole whistleblower shit and wrote an entire fucking I think 50-page document on what the fuck happened with his job.
You can read right?
Oh yeah. Suddenly you can't read right.
Yeah. See, that's the conspiracy. If all of a sudden an agent just forgets how to read and write.
Well, he won't be able to work at the Department of Transportation in West Virginia.
No, he will not.
Oh, you can't rewrite. You can't get no job, homie. But this is where they find...
This is what happens, folks. When you read and write, this is what happens. You get pages and pages of conspiracy. Don't read. It's a fucking scam.
It really is.
Because once you stop, you can't stop.
And this is coming from a guy who says he loves reading. He doesn't. It's a curse.
Once you learn to read, you can't stop reading.
Yeah, for so they come across this Washington warehouse, blah blah blah. Jim Bradley and Martinez bust in. They find the windows boarded shut. The door, one of the doors was locked with a heart-shaped padlock.
Oh, sweet.
The interior is full of mattresses and newspaper articles, which reference the finders in different articles. So it's like they had people that were reaching out, probably worked for them. I feel like a lot of this shit is like Scientology, to where it's like they have people in high places that either are sympathetic or they're part of it.
Well, going into that, the FBI had found members of multiple cults embedded in local agencies. Scientology is the biggest one. They had multiple agents embedded in the FBI and the CIA at the time. Mainly because of mission work that these places would do.
Of course.
They would learn different languages. That was a big contention with the Mormons at one point. A lot of Mormon missionaries were being approached by government agencies to do work in the field in foreign areas because Mormons tend to learn multiple languages to do their mission work and evangelize outside the United States.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so...
didn't realize it was a competition. Slow down, Mormons.
They don't just got bicycles. They know 8 different languages.
Yeah, Mormons are more of the most elaborate fucking cult that's considered a religion. that I think I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, wholeheartedly.
Scientology is a straight up cult.
Yeah,
but like
it's
Mormons,
it's like a
practical.
union cult because you got to pay dues.
You got to pay millions
in dues. It's like the most expensive
it's
union.
It's an MLM. It's a multi-level marketing scheme.
Oh yeah, it's a pyramid scheme.
It's a goddamn pyramid scheme.
It all comes back to the pyramids.
It all comes back to
please.
Your people, Mikey, the triangle people.
The triangle people. But yeah, the fucking it all comes back to fucking pyramids. The 4-letter word that starts with J.
This kind of goes into what they found in the fucking the van where DCPD goes in. All these guys go in, start searching the place. They find what they think to be a reference to satanic imagery, so probably a pentagram, some kind of thing that might be interpreted as satanic. Take that with a grain of salt.
Maybe like even a Bible.
It could even be a Bible with like
just half a Bible.
Just the Bible.
These guys are Satanists.
They're Satanists. Why would they have this here? For irony. On top of that, that's where they find plastic bag on top of plastic bag. There's even photos of this shit, of them coming out with all of these bags. Like those bags you see at the Cheeto factory that's just filled to the brim of photos of kids. Because they've had this warehouse since 1975. And if you're thinking about 12 years worth of documents, 12 years worth of people being shuttled in and out, and not just here, they go all the way to a town called Culpeper, Virginia, which Mary mentions as a big house out, like a big ranch house out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Which they kind of wanted to do what the Rajneeshis did in Oregon, but not quite do the poisoning. It was more so of like, hey, if this guy's not going to play ball, we're going to bump him off, you know, in local politics.
Rajneeshis is more about self-defense.
Yeah.
It was a unilateral move.
It was a unilateral. We tired of this shit? Yeah. Let's get Uzis.
Yeah, let's get Uzis and defend ourselves from rednecks and poison the local Shakey's Pizza.
You gonna fuck with us? We'll fuck with you right back. It's like that Joe Pesci scene. Yeah. They're gonna fucking watch me. Fuck them. I'll watch them right back.
Kind of like they bring a knife, bring a gun. They bring a gun, bring biological weapons to a pizza joint.
Y'all just couldn't keep up.
No, it is kind of funny that you bring the Rajneeshis up because I've actually saw a tie between them and this Finder's cult, actually.
Well, that's also because of the Eastern mysticism or the Eastern philosophy that comes in from Marion Petty's teachings from back in the day. Because he combined Taoism with passivity in the face of oppression from the likes of Gandhi and also Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah. So it's a really weird thing. It kind of reminds me of how Nazism came to be, where it's like a blend of a little bit of everything. It's like a blend of two different concepts.
Nationalism and socialism.
Yeah. Whereas this is more so of like two different philosophies, like more of a take it as it is, but don't take any shit from anybody. Find the most passive way you can do it. Fight them legally. Yeah. This isn't really a cult that people turn up dead, anything like that. Like from what I read, not a lot of people turned up dead. Yeah.
That's always a good sign, I guess.
There was like one murder that they were investigating that kind of prompted them to start looking into this warehouse because they had heard somebody had been killed around that area.
Once you toss somebody down the dead person hole,
yeah,
you kind of get a set of evidence.
No body, no crime.
Yeah, we tossed him down the dead motherfucker hole.
When he started going through this place, though, Martinez, further through the warehouse, he found a room that he can only refer to as the indoctrination room, just because how it looked. It was very much reminiscent of a Manchurian Candidate, where they're all sitting at desks and looking at a projector screen, and there was countless sort of projector discs to play. So what he said is that they had the ability to make full production movies, but the mind can allure to what movies he was really talking about. One of the two detectives in the MPD at one point was questioning Robert Terrell, because he, like I said, he was the PR guy who came in during this, and was snapping, lost his shit because he's like, I know you're selling like, you know, pornography. I know you're shuttling kids back and forth, and wouldn't say a fucking word. So they never really got any further than that. Still hasn't said anything. Still denies everything. So kind of going from there, they find that. Then they find in these photos was a collection of photos with the kids dressed in white gowns as well as adults, where they were slaughtering goats. This is also where that Virginia house comes in, because the members that they interview, including like anonymous sources that some people have found over the years that have been whistleblowers against the cult. Talked to various police departments.
I do like the founders' response to this.
Yeah.
It is fucking comical.
It's like a swoop in. Like the minute there's a blip on the radar, these guys are already doing interviews. It is like it's like a Disney-esque fucking PR campaign.
Like
nobody died here.
Yeah, but a lot of it was the goat was already dead.
Yes.
We're showing them about basically how to butcher a goat a proper way, which was within like. When you say butcher, it's not as bad because it's like, okay, we're going to show how to skin and kill.
Right, it's a lot of kids to feed.
Yeah.
If they, when they get fed, even though earlier
they only ate fruits and vegetables.
They only ate fruits and vegetables. That's what Emmerman and fucking Houlihan said.
You hear that, vegans? This is what happens when you only eat fruits and vegetables.
And that was only as a reward too. That's the fucked up thing, is that they didn't even feed him just because they had to feed him. It was just like, oh, you did all right today. You didn't piss me off too much. I didn't have to beat you.
Here's 2 Flintstone vitamins.
Here's 2 Flintstone vitamins
and a bottle of water.
And the matte blue Scooby-Doo fruit snack. 1. That got you. But on top of this,
you guys are very casual. It's not Flintstones. It's a Centrum. It's an
oh my
vitamin.
god!
It's a fucking adult vitamin.
It's just it's a chalk stick. That's way too. It's sidewalk chalk.
It's that gold. It's that gold deal that looks like it's got dirt on it, and it's just like swallow this motherfucker.
You keep trying to fucking knock it off. You think it was underneath the couch. Somebody spilled coffee.
No, that's what it looks like.
That's just what it looks like.
Here's your Centrum Silver. You 2-year-old piece of shit.
They go in further though too. In addition to the mattresses, they find
couldn't win 10 miles. Like, I can't trust that motherfucker.
They find more computers and also find another giant map of the world, like one of those big ass world maps, whatever.
Yeah, I have one of those in my room.
I think you'll
find
find
North Carolina.
It's pretty much like that, like how you were describing me with the fucking whiteboard. Same kind of concept. Red yarn, all in different areas of the world. They had people. This is another reason why a lot of people speculate CIA involvement is because certain countries, like Russia, because they had connections in Moscow. They had connections in fucking Pyongyang, North Korea, which it's a hermit kingdom even now. How the fuck are you getting over there?
No, 1987. Kim Jong-il wasn't even in power. It was his father, Kim Il-sung.
Exactly.
And that motherfucker had a license to ill. So
Juche, motherfucker. Juche.
Kim Jong-il got a license to ill. But no, so like in North Korea at that time, there was a lot more trading back and forth.
Yes.
They weren't much, like they were a hermit kingdom in the 90s, like when Kim Jong-il is in charge. But Kim Il-sung, he's still alive, still kind of in power. He fought in the Korean War. He became the leader. So, like, there was a lot of back and forth with China and South Korea at the time because the United States at that time had already built up its relationship at the 30th parallel. And
in a volatile situation like that,
there was actually at the 30th parallel technically stands as an embassy.
Yes. So, yes, the massive building that's the big square building
where everyone like holds each other.
Yeah.
Before, like when they're like, what's funny is like in North Korea, what they'll do is they'll send a guy out to talk to the other guy, but there'll be like a North Korean guy holding his arm,
and they do it on the other side,
and just hold him and be like, just in case the Americans take him and eat him,
and just in case we're a little too hungry, we decide to take one of the Americans and eat them.
Yeah, but it's funny because this is how stupid politics is and how stupid this whole thing is. You have to serve at the border point of North Korea and South Korea. You have to be above 6 feet tall.
Yeah, you got to look imposing as shit.
You have to look scary because the average height in North Korea is 5'2". The average height in South Korea has actually risen to 5'5".
Yeah,
but like, can you imagine just a 6'2" and a 5 foot dude just standing there, and he's like, he has the internal belief that this white man will eat him like a giant.
Well, he's not bullshitting. Jenkins just ate a little Korean man the other week.
No, but like that idea, it was like
easiest job the Navy has to offer.
Yeah, but like this is the kind of stupid.
Fuck a desk job. I get to scare people for a living.
This is the stupidest fucking thing. Like, this is why I hate conspiracies. Is like, people believe this shit.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a cabal of secret, suck and fuck party who's just
like some just eyes wide shut, like fucking meets like House of Cards type shit.
All these people, because based on what they're saying, it's like it has to be 1,000 people involved in this, even more if it's a religion, and it's like they all have to keep their fucking mouth shut.
Right?
Really?
And they did say that it has died in like membership. There's probably a dozen of them left.
Like
so they're still out there.
Like the
There's some people. Robert Terrell Gardner, he's still alive. He actually has a YouTube channel. He is still doing probably the longest running PR campaign, in my opinion, because Marion Petty died in 2002, 2004.
Is it like goat butchery?
It's kind of like
how to.
It's kind of like if Varg Vikernes like had to defend a mass genocide. That's you can only shield so much with so much evidence after a while, and it's all hearsay, is how he kind of puts it.
And you said like as membership wise, as a church, it's gone downhill.
Yeah, it's not even like the thing is that got me why it's so iffy about calling it a cult. I'd rather call it a secret society, just because there's not really that religious angle to it expressed specifically.
Well, do they have a mantra or a basically a set of principles? Most churches have these. They're written on the wall.
That is
true.
Most
churches do they have that? And if they do, it's technically a religion. Do they have a meeting place? Yes. Do they have a congregation of higher than 2?
But it's like the principles of them are more like if a criminal organization is just giving you policies and guidelines. Like a Fortune 500 company has policies on everything. If you're working customer service, there's a policy for the supermarket you go to, or return policy. There's different policies for different situations. That's kind of how these guys are, based on the telex messages that are found both at the apartment in Glover Park and this warehouse. They find telex messages with correspondence of talking about the process of how to kidnap children. Like I said earlier, same fucking thing was found 3 times over. They find ideas of how to avoid law enforcement. They find information on the arrest of Douglas Ammerman and Michael Houlihan at the apartment in Glover Park 1 day after the fucking arrest already happened. It still hasn't broke the news yet. The news article didn't come out till the next week. That's when everybody started hearing about it, the public eye. So going from that, I can't really find anything. Like, it was just processes of how to fly under the radar, what to wear, how to look, how to talk, how are you going to hide these fucking kids?
Well, the reason I ask is are they considered a church?
No, because I feel like, in my opinion...
Well, on the government end, do we know that they've been recognized as a church?
Not to my knowledge. There's no records. Okay. There's no written records, no explanation of it. I think a lot of the cult aspect came from Jim Bradley, who heard from an informant that had come forward. Name is redacted, of course, but I understand that for the sake of reparation.
It seems like it'd be more imperative for them to register as a church to hide under the guidelines of that.
And see, I feel like that this wasn't supposed to be found out, that these guys fucked up.
Yeah, no shit.
It kind of blew the lid.
Of lost children, they get found. So
and these telex messages coincide with what that FSU student found. He found similar telex messages referencing that.
Yeah, what's up with the computer? What
he gave it up to
dumbass just left it there.
I checked it out on the... I finally found the fucking note. On the 8th, he gave up the computer to the TPD because he waited like a day before opening it. He just wanted to see if somebody was going to like ask on campus, because this was during the week.
But who left it in the phone booth?
Never found out. They never found out. They never traced it to anybody. There wasn't...
Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, for real. They had a Kaiser Soze situation where it could be anybody. It's Kevin Spacey, but we already know about what Kevin Spacey does in his basement.
Hey, you don't fuck kids, though. 18's legal.
I don't know. When you hold somebody against their will, that's when it gets a little...
When you hold them against the will, it's called Steven Seagal.
And he used Aikido.
Stop screaming before I punch you in the jejunum.
You know I'm an Arizona sheriff.
That's a whole fucking elaborate story.
That's all you hear from Steven Seagal.
Skip. If it came out that he was part of this, I would not be shocked.
No, I wouldn't either. No celebrities, sadly enough. No celebrities, no Epsteins, no fucking Clintons, nothing like that. Nobody really, no big names. No
Haas.
No Haas.
Have you ever heard of Haas?
No, I've never.
Former Speaker of the House.
No.
Our former Speaker of the House under Ronald Reagan was a ardent child molester.
Are you shitting me?
Yes, HAAS.
Well, it's kind of like how he hired somebody named Donald Regan.
Yeah.
Like, that just seemed like Donald Regan was a fucking idiot too, though. He was kind of the one that was the blunder. He was like Arnie from Casino, the dude that got caught on the wiretap.
Well, to quote Boondocks, Ronald Reagan is the devil.
Jesus is black, Ronald Reagan is the devil.
Yeah. What did I tell you about telling white folk the truth?
But kind of teetering on this a little bit more, we then get ourselves into the court case in March. Kind of fast forwarding a little bit further.
Is that in Florida?
That is in Florida, yes, with the two men, Douglas Ammerman and Michael Houlihan. And guess what?
Chicken butt.
They get off scot-free.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Judge rules in their favor. No crime, no harm. Kids are fine, blah, blah, blah. They interviewed the parents. Now, one of the things going into Marion Petty is that a requirement of his cult, which is why I can say it's a cult, just because he's more like the... It's like the Anthill Kids. You have to give up everything for me. But it's not a cult of a deity. It's a cult of me and what I've created. This is my thing. It's
a cult to personality.
Very much. No. Very much.
How about sing that song?
I think we got a couple of more years before that song comes out, but damn it, that would have been perfect timing.
It's more surprising when you find out they're black.
You leave Corey Glover alone. That motherfucker.
They're fucking fantastic. I love that band.
They did a cover of Soundgarden that was actually really good.
Yeah.
But you find yourself coming across these guys getting released scot-free. Free to go, free to do whatever they want.
And what year was this?
1987 still. This is only a month later.
Okay, so they were able to get arrested, charged, and put on trial.
A little bit over a month in jail. Not that long.
Man, habeas corpus was fast in fucking Tallahassee.
When you got the right connections, yeah. Habeas corpus, never heard of it.
Cocaine falling from the sky in Florida. People busting drugs with cocaine every other fucking day, and these fucking kidnappers are fucking let off scot-free, man. Florida was paradise lost. Time magazine had it right.
And I think
godless sinners.
And I think around this time though too, you had that shit.
Retirement wonderful.
You had basically all those murders in 1986 because of the Colombian drug cartel. So a lot of shit was focused somewhere else. They were all focused.
Colombia's not real.
They were all focused on fucking South Florida. So like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, those areas.
Orlando and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, a fun fact: Orlando is going out of business.
The whole city.
The whole city.
The theme park. Orlando theme park.
Oh shit!
It's going out of business.
No
like
shit.
Universal Studios.
Universal Studios will be out of business.
No.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, damn, Disney. I wasn't really that worried about.
Disney's strong. They have their own tunnels.
They do. That's the fucked up thing.
They're a city state.
Now, I don't know if that would... It'd be fucked up if that came into play here. Like, at some point, more documents released, and it turns out Walt Disney was in.
Disney's a single thing. He does his own thing.
He's his own thing.
He doesn't incorporate others. He even hated the fact that people were making money outside of the theme park on his dime.
He's very much like the Lars Ulrich of fucking theme parks.
Yeah. He's more of the Genghis Khan of business. You sold potato chips the shape like Mickey Mouse, motherfucker.
No, lock the door, Frank. He's not leaving.
Nah, he thinks he's the house of fucking mouse over here. This fucking dirty rat.
And you really think I was gonna find out?
Just give Walt Disney a thick fucking Bronx accent.
You really thought I was gonna find it? Do you ever forget who you're fucking with?
Yeah.
Do you know who I am? You scumbag piece of shit.
I'm Walt fucking Disney.
Kills him with a quill pen, stabs him in the throat.
Yeah.
He kills him like the dude in the fucking Crow, where he gets stabbed in the throat with a fucking samurai sword. Same concept.
Walt Disney used his own hands to kill people. Now
he strangles you. He strangles you while laughing like Mickey Mouse. Oh Christ, that's an awful image. That needs to be a conspiracy.
Hey, what happened to Jimmy the Thumb? The mouse got him, man.
Mouse got him.
Last place they saw him was his body floating around in It's a Small World.
Yeah, it is Frank.
It is Frank. You better keep your fucking mouth shut.
And you hear God damn.
He was a good guy.
Wait, so you mean to tell me like alligators are eating kids at Disney and Universal's going under?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
It's a fucked up time. And then
the times are changing there, Mikey.
Bob Dylan couldn't have anticipated this shit.
He couldn't even anticipate the average housing price of $450,000.
Or a house I found with my wife that was right across the street from a fucking gas station and a McDonald's and was just $850,000.
Jesus Christ.
Off of Pleasant Plains. Just, you know where that seedy
This is a real conspiracy that we're talking about.
Bro, hold on.
housing market.
This has to be talked
bubble.
about.
This
This has to be
fucking
talked
bubble.
about because there's a Citgo station that's over off of Pleasant Plains. When you go, you've seen the fucking Circle K gas station if you've gone to pick me up, right? You know that first intersection you
one
come
that's
to?
got the real good grill.
Yeah.
You said $850,000.
$850,000.
That's like a cool
is
meal
fucking-
after interest.
It is a
and
2-bedroom
taxes.
fucking house. 2 bedrooms.
You might
They
as
don't even
well-
have photos of the interior.
Someone died in there.
Somebody definitely died. The
Might as
body
well just
print's still
open your
there.
own gas station with that money.
Yeah, right?
Quinn's QT.
Quinn's QT. Double QT.
Yeah.
Quality and Quinn.
All right, so child trafficking.
Child trafficking, coming back to this, fucking Emmy award-winning series. Coming to you.
Oh, if we got an Emmy. Oh, God, I'd be a monster.
They were drunk.
They were drunk.
This is
I want to submit this show for, like, Emmy recognition.
Just keep pushing it.
Just so we could get some fucking backlog on here.
So I guess to kind of go from this, they found other photos, kids in chains. They didn't find any weapons.
Where did the
Surprisingly,
kids
no
come
weapons.
from? Where'd they find these kids?
Well,
Kind of going into that, the kidnapping thing, but also going into Marion Petty, where I was saying the cult of personality, kind of touching on your point again, Chris. Marion Petty required for the members of the cult, the women members, if they gave birth to children, because it was an intermingling thing. It was like a fucking swingers club in this bitch. And, of course,
the
all the...
70s.
Yeah, it was the 70s. Baby making time.
Yeah.
They...
Bring back the fucking Quaaludes.
Yeah, but that also coincides with the... Yeah, bring back the fucking Quaaludes. But
Look
that
at
also
him. He got the best rest.
Petty set up a... I guess this kind of goes into a principle. If you're married, he did the David Koresh thing. Your wife is mine. Your children come to me. I am their father now. I am the game caller, the stroller, the student is another nickname he earned. He's the one who raised the kids because part of their beliefs was that in order for... It kind of goes into the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. They kind of have this pseudo-tribalism where it's like we all have to contribute to the molding and creation of this kid. Now, that's cool on paper, but when it's put into action, it's fucking terrifying. Because
This is why you have to have the conch.
yeah,
You gotta have the conch.
We also would happen to Piggy.
and the feeling sticks, so you can acknowledge people's feelings.
and then that's when you end up getting stabbed by, or you get crushed by a rock by your best friends. That about an hour earlier into this story. Everybody was hunky-dory.
Everybody was cool until they weren't.
Everybody was cool until they weren't, pretty much.
I think that's pretty much the answer to all like conspiracy. It is what it is kind of situation.
Yeah, and that's kind of like this one too. Like CIA wasn't actively investigating it. Again, this was just the U.S. Customs Service doing that with local police.
So it was the children were from the ladies in the cult.
Ladies in the cult, kidnappings, because again,
Which
had a
ones were
kidnap.
lost? Were they all lost?
All of them, but they found these 6. That's pretty much, they found other indicators that the cult was operating in other areas of Florida, including Miami, since I mentioned it. And part of that was because in the telex messages, there was messages sent by, oh my God, what the fuck is that? What is that?
It's an ad for Quaaludes.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Hell, that dude looks like he's on it for the fucking
300.
commercial.
It's a Quaalude Lemon 300.
Bro, that guy is on that shit. Look at his face. Look at him.
Methaqualone.
He looks like he fucking bit into a lemon. His whole face is wrinkled in.
Yeah.
What do you think he feeds his eyebrows? Do you think he
Cocaine.
feeds him leaves?
What's on his table?
Cocaine, coca leaves.
He's just got some. He's got a carton of milk on the table, but he's already drinking a glass of orange juice.
Bro,
What
that's
the
how you
fuck
know.
is this guy doing?
That's that fucking ADHD. Like, I'm gonna drink everything in this house shit.
Dude, that's that fucking old school breakfast, man. You know when your mom, you see like the 1950s family. I got a little glass of orange juice. I got a glass of milk. I got 3 pieces of sausage, 40 pieces of bacon, 40 fucking eggs, and this is in front of me. I got to eat this before going to school. To
And
be
my
big and
father's
strong.
blowing a cigarette in my face as I'm eating.
Take
Yeah,
one
'cause he's
bite
gotta
and
go
hop
back-
on the bus.
Yeah, because he's a cop. He's got to get back on the fucking beat, you know.
And he's already smoked a pack, and it's not even fucking. We're not even halfway done with breakfast.
And this guy's fucking, you know, when he gets out of here, he's basically the only fucking cop in town, like fucking Mayberry. He just found a dead babysitter who was chopped the fuck up on Halloween night.
So
You
he's
know,
drinking again after being 10 years off the wagon.
And the Quaaludes aren't helping anymore because he's trying to speed the fuck up, and this is dragging him down.
So now he became the new town serial killer, put the other guy out of business.
No, he became the law.
And a serial killer.
He was doing the Lord's work.
He's the God's hand killer.
He had that Christian panic that was real.
Oh my God.
Not the satanic panic, the Jesus panic.
But a lot of these fucking kids, Jesus, a lot of these kids, because
That's what got you, Jesus panic.
We're just gonna segue into this motherfucker going off Jesus's coattails, cloak tails.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids came from a lot of those missing persons cases, but they were renamed. Kind of goes into how a lot of these, the 6 kids that were initially found didn't understand modern technology. Typewriters, staplers, computers, floppy disks. One kid, BB, or I think it was Max, it was one of the two, didn't understand the concept of time.
Yeah.
He didn't know what the fuck a clock was.
Well, that's another part of this going into some of the theories behind why this was happening. One of the popular theories was it was to take children so young that they weren't exposed to movies, television, radio, modern technology, and then use the processes that were used for MK Ultra to try to control their thought process and make them little Manchurian candidates.
There is a book on CIA, kind of touching on CIA like covert operations and mind control. There's a whole book written on it which has that senator I mentioned from the state of North Carolina. I cannot recall his name. I think it was Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose, yes. Yeah. He doesn't mention them by name, but makes reference to them.
But yeah, the MK Ultra one I thought was a very elaborate kind of idea of why they would do this to kids, which I can kind of see why, because if we talk about MK Ultra just for a second, they were using adults for these,
and it never really ended.
No, it
by this time at least.
Yeah, so like in the 80s, it's still going on. The use of PCP,
yes,
in the food,
amphetamines,
stay awake kind of things, and then plus in 1987 going into the early 90s, we have the Gulf War. So you have a whole new proxy war to fight that isn't quite a Russian deal, because at this time, 1987 going into the 90s, Russia is on its heels economically. It's not doing great. It's lost most of its satellite countries by now.
Which is why I kind of wonder if that's why more stuff came up again, why certain documents were released in 1993 because of the fall of the Soviet Union. Because the documents weren't released till the end of that year, so it was kind of like, we got to make sure these motherfuckers are actually done and out, because you already had defectors coming across the pond to come to the U.S. and explain all these secrets. Who's to say one of those guys wasn't going to be connected in some way?
But it's all, this is all kind of conjecture at the end of the day. But but I think that was that on a list of trying to explain why. Yeah, that is plausible that it was part of like some MK Ultra or a integrated spy system.
And another thing is too, I kind of going back to your question of how they got them. The preschool that's mentioned is a kind of a good example. The fucking tunnel system they found that the CIA kind of went, hey, you found those tunnels. They're classified. So no, you didn't. That never happened. Like it was one of those circumstances where the FBI was not watching where it was stepping. It stepped on the CIA's very nice shoes that it just bought, and the CIA said, fuckface, don't ever do that again. Don't make me look like an idiot. So
do you believe the CIA was actively working within this cult?
Well, considering that one of the businesses that Marion Petty references his son working for, one of them is Air America, and another one is something called Future Enterprises, which Future Enterprises Incorporated was a...
Just sounds like a supervillain's business.
It basically is a front for the CIA that they were training for... they were doing computer training, which, early moments of cyber warfare. They get the idea of that.
You show up to class... You walk through the door, you realize you left your laptop in a fucking phone booth.
Well, my dad, when he was in the Army, he went to the Signal Corps of the Army, which is a different branch at that time. I don't even think it exists anymore. But at that time, they were using these 18-wheelers that were basically giant RCA radios.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's how he got into that kind of shit. So I can only imagine in 1987 taking that big truck, making it to a little truck, and then trying to teach kids how to use that little truck.
Yeah, and kind of going and touching on that too, it was like Ammerman and Houlihan were both enrolled there at one point. Petty also said that his wife was a CIA secretary or accountant, one of the two, which kind
goes
of
into the infiltration of the CIA.
And him trying to deflect that and saying, that's the only reason why they're coming after me, this, that, and the third. But he actually used his property in Virginia, that 90-acre farm, was where a lot of these photos came from in some cases. And his neighbors, I think her name was Norma Richards or Wilma Richards. Her name's somewhere in these fucking disorganized... Gone. Yeah, right. Her and her husband had talked about them, and Marion Petty identified himself as a Boy Scout leader, and that he was bringing these kids here. But even they were saying these kids didn't look fucking happy. They looked like they were traumatized.
They were in the
dirty.
Boy Scouts, of course they were traumatized.
Yeah. Being brought in on vans, malnourished. This is where you get those first reports of people finding kids in cages.
This seems like just a hardcore version of Boy Scouts.
Your son was in a paramilitary organization. Eagle Scout.
Yeah. It just seems like
he was selected ever since he killed that whooping crane with his bare hands.
Didn't even give it a quick death. Strangled it and watched the light fade from its eyes.
It just seems like this is like instead of merit badges, they're doing like the POW ride out.
Food. They're giving them food.
They're doing like the POW
They're doing
ride
the
out.
fucking Japanese POW treatment. Like they're fucking, you will eat when we say you eat.
Like a version of the Baton Death March with white vans and like zucchinis.
Zucchinis and fucking apples, tomatoes. It's like these kids have probably shit their pants watching Veggie Tales because it would send them into a frenzy. That's so fucked up to say because all 6 of the kids are still alive.
Yeah. No.
What are they doing?
Flying under the radar. There's some. They have social
Part of
media.
The fucking CIA, man. They're fucking doing the God's work.
A lot of them. Well, 2 of them turned out to be. One, Mary Houlihan, was the daughter of Michael Houlihan. Further, kind of going with that point of members were fucking one another like crazy. Again, it was the 70s. And Max Livingston or John Paul. John Paul Houlihan was the stepson of Michael Houlihan. So to just kind of make a connection there to kind of deepen that whole thing. The mothers, there is a photo of them all from John Cohen, I believe it was, who wrote a whole fucking book that's referenced in these fucking documents. Actually, it was a newspaper article from the City News, was what it was called, from Washington, D.C.
Well, there was a book that was written. It's called The Death of Hope, which is the story of the CIA. It's pretty elaborate, and it goes into not much of the Finders thing, but some other things they did, some sketchy shit, kind of like making people in Indonesia think vampires were real to take a town.
Yep. I actually just listened to that story a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So that's fun.
Here it is. Here we go. This was for In Search of the Finders was the name of the article, but this is like front page, big news type shit that I didn't even expect anybody to find. City paper, Washington's Free Weekly. This is in 1988, so a year later in August, that he's touching on all this. This is when everything kind of came to light. It was starting, still in the public eye, but not quite as prevalent as it should be. It was mostly local papers that were really breaking this down. New York Times mentioned it, but that was only New York Times usually on the wrong side of history.
It's kind of like who owns the paper type situation, tells you the news. Kind of like right now, like a lot of stuff that's not being referenced in the news right now is that there's a big push by new people to get rid of the Social Security Department.
Here's the picture of the kids. These are all 6 of them right here. That's Mary, Max. That's BB.
Max is fucking smiling. He's fine. He got his merit badge.
That's Honey B. Evans. I think that's John Paul.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, that's John Paul. That's BB, and that's the other child. I forgot the fucking kid's name right now. I'm sorry. I'm amazed I can remember my name. I believe that's David Houlihan or Michael Houlihan and Douglas Ammerman. As you could see, I don't know if I can zoom in, but like. You could see he's got that fucking pedo stash on lock.
Are those all sketches of them?
No, those are photos. They're just badly fucking ingrained. It's been years. They're black and white. And this shit wasn't even that old. Like, this is for a newspaper article here. You can see the handlebar mustache she's got. This is just a little photo of the mothers that they find. That's Marion Petty right there. That's actually a better photo than I've seen that's been shared around. I haven't seen that photo before by John Cohen. He was the one who wrote this whole article. But it's a whole article included with the documents that were released. These are them. Ammerman, 41 days in jail. Ooh, I was right. Love that. These two were released, like I said, and this was a photo taken of them as they were leaving to go back home. Wherever home was. And keeps going further. That's the police officer, Judy, that responded and actually conducted the interviews with the suspects.
What happened to Judy? Do you know?
Not much is known. I don't think she ended up dead. There aren't any records of her turning up dead. So obviously she's still out there, probably retired. One of the detectives on this kind of like fucked it all up because he was saying that he was going to get interviewed. It was kind of like his big case, his big break. That didn't come to fruition. Like, that didn't fucking happen. He just was a blowhard that was trying to chase after something, and when it wasn't what he wanted, he backed out. That's the other cop that came with her too. Like I said, this is all freedom of information. You can read this at any fucking time. You just gotta go type in the Finders FBI vault, boom, go right ahead. And you can find all this shit. Like, there's even, I love how there's an optometry article here, so part of me is like, oh, the CIA probably just threw that in to be a prick. Like, you blind fuck. You can't see everything else. Why don't you not see this? I thought I would.
It just seems like a microfiche type thing, like a newspaper. You ever use those? You guys ever use those?
Where you're going into where you're looking at the old newspaper clippings in a library? Yeah.
Yeah. I did that to find more information about my family. And the little town they're from, not a great place if you're not white. When I read those fucking newspapers. Oof. A local character was killed by the police. And it's like, Jesus.
Shouldn't have been fucking around.
It was a Tuesday. He knew what was up.
He knew what was up. But yeah, like, and going into the farm he had was probably the more weird aspect, just because of them trying to infiltrate the fucking the local government in Virginia. That's what really got me. And like I said, he introduced himself as a fucking Boy Scout leader.
Hey, who drew all those black squares on those documents?
The man.
The man. You can also see the white squares where it's all redacted. It's just, like, there you have like the psychological analysis of these kids. Blank.
Damn.
Nothing mentioned. Like, in the timeline of events, I'll show you this.
Well, that would fall under right to privacy.
Exactly, because
so there's no reason we would see that.
But it plays a huge part in the investigation as well, especially if this is a criminal investigation. It's child abuse, but it's also teetering on the point of trafficking. Around this time, like, remember how I mentioned that telex that got sent down from Petty about, hey, we need to lay low for a little while. That was found on the computers at the apartment and the warehouse. Well, people in Florida, all across the state, start reporting to different police departments, hey, we just saw like a group that kind of fit the description of these guys in Gainesville. Because keep in mind, a lot of them are dressing like fucking government workers, like how those guys are dressed. Black suit, black tie, formal kind of wear, driving fucking, free candy vans. She don't lie, she don't lie. CIA. CIA. That's perfect. That should be their theme. I could see a dude going into work. I'm trying to find the fucking timeline of events they have in this paperwork. That's like, it's not in any, it's not even fucking numbered. So
getting flustered. Someone find his Adderall.
Bad thing is, I'm
get the net.
Get the net.
Where are my lewds? Get the lewds. Bring back the fucking Quaaludes.
Well, they're still active. Quaaludes are still being manufactured today. You know that, right?
In Southeast Asia.
Yeah, in South Africa too.
Yep.
They do.
I bet they're cheap as fuck in South
They
Africa.
are extremely. They are called the White Dove. Called White Dove. What they do is they mix it with tobacco and marijuana, wrap it in a newspaper, and use the nozzle as a broken bottle.
Where is this?
And then two guys hold you up while you take a hit.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, that is a lot of fucking work. God
do you want a good time or not? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but I don't want to have to do all that, man. I'm trying to be lazy and have a good time.
Yeah.
Actually,
you would just lose time.
There's another article here. CIA called accused of abuse. This was
Paul Rodriguez. He was found dead later on.
Probably. This was in 1993, 12/17. This is before like everything really got divulged from the Martinez report. The next day on the 18th. That's when essentially the timeline of events kind of goes. After they find this stuff in the warehouse and the residence, blah blah blah. They find out about the stuff in Virginia because the VPD, the local police department, the Culpeper, and the sheriff's department get into contact with these guys, hearing about this. And are going, oh yeah, we've had issues with them too. They actually got like a fucking farm that we keep responding to every once in a while, or we've been hearing speculations. And that's when they go on to the 40-acre farm. Now, a lot of that shit, I'm not sure what came of that. Even looking into some of this stuff, it's pretty
just sketchy.
Like zipped, hush-hush type of stuff. Not very much is mentioned. Anything that is mentioned in that part of the case, swept under the fucking rug, redacted.
We don't know much about that ranch up on the hill.
Yeah,
it's one of those. Win the chili contest every year, though. I tell you what.
Yeah,
I tell you what.
That Boy Scout feller, I'll tell you, he can cook his fucking ass off.
I don't know if it's the spice or the terror that I'm tasting.
You can kind of see this. It's faded as fuck, but that's a DC police officer right there, holding the bags of the photos. You can almost kind of see a kid's face in that photo. There's another one. These are all photos. They're like fucking big ass clear trash bags.
It's like a fucking tarot card, man. I can't.
It's so badly fucking. You could probably find these photos.
Oh, you got the Three of Swords and the finding of evidence.
Yeah. You going down for a long time, motherfucker. I see prison in your future.
I read these cards of Jeffrey Dahmer. He got caught the next day.
Yeah, here's a little bit touching on this stuff. Find his crew. Oh yeah, here's one. During the execution of search warrants by the MPD at the two finders' properties, USCS Special Agent Ramon J. Martinez Blank, which is detailing everything that was found in the fucking warehouse.
Oh shit!
People found out about what was found in the warehouse per Martinez and Jim Bradley and another guy named Skip Clements. Skip is the nickname. His real name is I think Henry Clements. Henry J.
Skip
Clements.
Doesn't sound like a reliable resource.
He was the only person Martinez trusted to talk about this information to. Mm-hmm. That was but with a name like Skip, it's like, all right, asshole. How are you over the age of 60 and you're still called Skip? You're a fucking prick.
He beat Nazis to death with his war shovel.
Never mind, you're the coolest man on the block.
Right. Hey, why do they call him Skip? Because he'll skip right through your fucking artery.
Never takes his aviators off.
Oh yeah, they even do it. This
still got blood on his flight jacket.
I kept the faces of all those I killed with my bare hands. They mention the San Diego office getting contacted because they had shit going on out in California about this group. Like it spreads, and there's still more that I'm even learning about this. Because all of this kind of gets swept under the rug after Emmerman and Houlihan get released. Mm-hmm. That's when you have the CIA stating to Martinez and the FBI, this is now an internal investigation matter because of what Petty said was because of his wife and his son having ties, but it was probably way more than that because my previous point, Emmerman and Houlihan being the tech guys for the CIA, being enrolled in Future Enterprises. So they tell the FBI
Future Enterprises sounds like the greatest pyramid scheme,
doesn't it? Like the way it sounds, that and like Air America,
it's always shown at like 3:30 to 4:30 at night.
Yep.
On like TLC as like a paid programming, and it's just a fucking multi-level marketing scheme of just two guys just telling you about the new computers and how you need certificates to learn it and get high-paying jobs.
Perfect.
With like a bunch of dirty kids in the background.
Oh, what's this here? Oh yeah, here's a teletype. Teletype from FBI Richmond to FBI HQ dated 2/7/87. Results of search warrants on property owned by blank in Culpeper, Virginia. So Marion Petty.
Okay. That narrows it down.
By Virginia State Police, search warrants did not produce evidence of federal or state violations of the law concerning sexual exploitation of children. However, it appears that the children found in Florida had lived at this location.
Well, that's, okay, a lot of it was. They found no evidence, so we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
The FBI said there was no evidence.
Exactly.
We're good. They're clear. We don't have to burn down the compound. We don't have to fight a bunch of fucking cultists.
I wanted to read that just because it was perfect how they're like, oh yeah, we didn't find anything, but meanwhile they have this whole fucking section redacted from fucking DC. Like, yeah, no, he didn't find shit either. That USCS guy. He's full of shit. Everything he says is full of shit.
Fake news.
Fake news. Pussy.
No one knows more about child exploitation than me.
Oh my god. What's this here? To the Secretary of State, attention, Office of Legal Advisor, Larry Potts, Assistant Director of Criminal Investigatives Division in the FBI headquarters. Can't fucking talk. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Let's see. Search all records of your agency regarding the following individuals: Finders Group, Finders Transitional Ragged Mountain Ranch Research Center, General Scientific Corporation, Rockville, Maryland. These are all different places that were kind of expunged in the investigation. The Information Bank, 1307 4th Street, Northeast Washington, D.C. Future Enterprises, the Women's Networking Service. I like how they tried to fucking cover that, but the FBI guy went, well, if there's one thing we don't need is fucking feminists, so we're just gonna pull that down a little bit, discredit them. Like, you could see that some of these FBI guys are going, no, leave that in, because that makes that group look worse than us.
Women's Network Services just seems like a place where you go after your husband weeps your ass.
Isabella Petty, wife of fucking Marion Petty, Diane Sherwood, Barbara Sylvester, and this whole little block here of 10 through 14 that's missing people.
George Bush, Ronald
Epstein.
Reagan,
Probably.
Gerald Ford.
I mean, dude, it was in Florida.
Dale Earnhardt Sr. Wait, what?
The goddamn intimidators out here.
Arnold, why?
But 3 for Dale.
He meant 3 children. Jesus Christ.
Why is he the intimidator? He puts them in that car and tells them that's how fast they're going to hell. They talk. Daytona, baby.
Oh my god. That's so bad.
Oh, fuck him. He's a wife-beating piece of shit. That people act like he founded Kannapolis.
Oh, here we go. They also named John R. Stitcher was the guy I was trying to think of that initially filed the Metropolitan Police report on them. He went by a nickname. I forgot his nickname at the time, but
Sergeant Stitcher sounds like a cruel motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
Well, he also was the dude I was mentioning earlier that was losing his shit on Robert Gardner Terrell about, like, I know you're fucking selling all these kiddie porn and all that shit, and I know you guys are involved in this, that, and the other, and him just sitting there and going, where's your fucking evidence? He got pissed and stormed out.
Fuck you, that's my fucking evidence.
Pretty much how it went, and he just fucking screamed, cursed him out, and then left.
Mark Wahlberg?
It was Mark Wahlberg pulling, like, his character from The Departed. That's how I imagine this guy. Like,
I'm going to Dunkin', I'll be back.
I'm going to Dunkin', I'll be back. You guys want anything? Fuck you. You're not getting anything. Fucking put your hand down. Who forged your transcript?
The FBI, motherfucker. That's who forged it.
That was my favorite fucking line in that whole movie. Like I said, I'm just scrolling through here just to see if there's any other good bits to fucking throw in. But there's a lot of info, and I'm glad you've been reading a little bit on this, Chris, because, dude, I'm still pining through this shit and going, I don't even know where to begin with some of this stuff, because it's like it's like the Winchester House syndrome with this bitch. You end up going up a staircase where you think, oh my god, this whole thing's gonna go all the way to the top, and then there's a fucking sudden wall behind a door. Yeah. It's like every open door you have, there's immediately a brick wall waiting behind it. You'll get down a hallway, you'll figure some shit out, think you got it all, and then boom, nope, you're not getting any further.
I hate this game.
Yeah. So it's the most unsatisfying case of blue balls in written form.
It seems like this would be a great plot line for the next Scooby-Doo movie. Them just peering over the shit. Children. Yeah, the lost children. It's
fucking nuts, dude. Like, finding out about the parents, another reason why they go out to California too is because a few of the mothers of the 6 kids are still living in San Francisco after they said they're living in DC. So, in a way, they kind of told on their fucking selves. But yeah, I mean, this is enough for part 1, dude. There's so much more I can go, but I'm done.
Yeah. Well, before we stop, I just want to break some of the stuff I've seen. So with the Finders, as a cult of conspiracy, basically, it kind of delves into three kind of options at the end of it. Is the CIA complicit with working for a cult? Did the cult infiltrate the CIA to find more information to spread their organization? Or did the CIA hide this to prevent a satanic panic realization that this is a cult operating within multiple states and countries while stealing children? So you kind of, it's kind of probably a grab bag of each, you know? That's kind of how I see it. I'm trying to take more of a pessimistic view at this because I know the CIA does a lot of nasty shit.
Oh yeah, of course,
for the government, and they kind of have to because we've given them purview to do that.
Yeah,
but I see this more as just a conspiracy of a cult and not a government organization. That's
kind of how I see it too. Because one of the things that they mention, what the CIA Internal Affairs report mentions, is that it was or I think it was Tom Lewis. It was somebody either in Congress or part of the investigation says that there was a cell that was part of Future Enterprises that went bad.
Yeah.
And that something splintered off. So it kind of goes into your point that it wasn't facilitated by the government, but the seeds were planted. They just figured out how to grow their own weeds.
And the research into the daycare center and the tunnels, a lot of kind of in the middle theory is, and keep in mind this is also just conspiracy, is that it wasn't built like that. It's a building built on top of something else. And depending on where you live, there's a massive amount of tunnels in the United States that go kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
This is kind of explained in the movie Us.
Oh yeah, you're right.
They kind of foreshadow that in that movie, that there's a lot of unused tunnels that were part of a network system that was going to be used that never got to because of the Cold War.
Of course.
And
considering DC too.
Yeah. And I think DC's got enough problems already with Pizzagate type motherfuckers running around, especially from North Carolina. Yeah, that happened. That guy was from Salisbury.
Jesus Christ.
That fucking idiot.
But it kind of like is the precursor to that, is what kind of gets me. Like the catalyst that eventually leads to Pizzagate. Because this is kind of like Pizzagate-esque shit before Pizzagate.
Yeah, and there's always going to be a conspiracy behind someone taking children.
Oh, of course.
Because it's fascinating. Especially now with the whole Epstein situation. Ghislaine Maxwell's still alive. I'm pretty sure she will kill herself.
Probably.
At some point. But it also goes into more of a hierarchy of, hey, what do we think happened? Well, we're not sure. Well, okay, what evidence do we have? All right, let's come to a conclusion based on the evidence. Well, the problem with that is the evidence either is fully redacted, someone's lying straight out because you have to pretend that the source is reliable, and it kind of muddies the waters all around. And I think what's great about this one is because it's so new, the amount of pool of speculation just skyrockets. Anything can be involved,
right,
with just the right amount of wordplay.
And I think a lot of stuff too with this kind of got overshadowed with that whole Stargate kind of concept that the CIA released. That kind of overshadowed this because everybody was more into that because Stranger Things was big at the time. So they were kind of seeing documents of what Stranger Things was roughly making a reference to.
The Matoic incident.
Yes. And also their experiments with astral projection, shit like that.
Yeah, your men that stare at goats.
Your
MK Ultra.
So perhaps I wasn't paying attention. What's the difference between is a satanic cult and then just straight up child sex trafficking?
It's kind of
both the same thing.
Both in this case. It's kind of one of the
Satanists
same.
use the children for?
Money. You could sell them.
Well, that's the misconception about a lot of these Satanist groups,
right?
Because it's a satanic panic.
Yeah, so all of it is false information being told about a religious group.
Yeah,
a lot of Satanist groups try to push, free will ideas that you're the master of your own universe. A lot of that kind of goes into the other versions of Satanism.
You can even reference fucking William Cooper in this case if you want like a fringe right take on it, where it's like secretly everybody's kind of a Satanist, but not in the way you think of a Satanist.
Yeah.
Like it's not blood rituals. It's basically, I understand that religion can be used to control people. It's kind of like the Book of Eli. with Gary Oldman, where he's trying to get the Bible. I know this can be used as a precursor to control public opinion, but I don't believe in it myself.
No.
It's just easy.
So child sex trafficking is an industry.
Yeah.
There's something you can't have a person, and a group's going to facilitate that. That's what that is. It's a business of anything.
Yeah.
But what's great about Satanic Panic is anything you fear can be made as part of Satanic Panic. I worry about heroin being distributed to middle school kids through Halloween candy. It's those goddamn Satanists that are giving out black tar heroin to all these kids.
Right.
It's such an easy blanket to cover everything.
And what's cool about Satanic Panic is it creates a kind of a bullseye of where to aim your anger at.
Kind of like a second wave of McCarthyism, except using the religious right.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back into like communism, actually, because
yes, it does.
Because at the time, Russia and China had kind of gotten rid of religious organizations throughout their, communist regimes. Nowadays they've changed. Russia's a very more orthodox Christian, very hard right-leaning religious organizations. Your Orthodox Christians and Catholics
that strangely hates Nazis, but it's like they kind of
they're being Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so confusing.
Yeah, they act a lot like Nazis. For a bunch of people who hate Nazis.
Yeah, for real.
And your religious groups in China who have to register with the government to make sure no anti-government rhetoric is being said in the church. So it's kind of like a feel-good type message in the beginning, which is how they lure you in.
Of course.
But with Satanic Panic, you end up with these horror houses, which is basically just right-wing propaganda about
the cabal.
The cabal, anti-evolution theory, abortion theory.
They're drinking the blood of the youth.
Yeah.
They're doing the Elizabeth Bathory, adrenochrome, which was fucking corroborated by like people living out in Silicon Valley, like the big money people out there, the billionaires. They mention shit like that, which is kind of fucking terrifying.
Yeah,
well, you take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I take that with my Microsoft computer.
Yeah, for real. Sorry, Bill.
Sorry, Bill. You're looking rough for someone who eats the blood of children.
That's where I I'm like, all right, this is QAnon territory.
But the great thing about Satanic Panic is this is actually very well done in smaller communities because they can point the finger at other groups that are similar to theirs. And, oh, no, those Catholics over there, they're not really Catholics. They're all a bunch of fucking Satanists.
And those Protestants over there keep stealing our fucking whiskey.
Yeah, we need to get them motherfuckers. So, like, that's kind of the big difference. Now, then you have the difference between what is a cult and a religion. A religion, a man or woman or whatever, decrees a set of values based on what God has said, and a cult leader does the same thing. The only difference is in religion, that guy's dead.
Yeah.
So,
it's martyrdom. It's through a prophet.
You're Moses, Abraham religion. He's dead. We get Judaism. Jesus died. We get Christianity. The Paul, John, Peter, Mikey, Johnny.
Muhammad ascended to heaven. There's Islam. I mean, it's the same concept all the way around.
They are not here to be questioned. They said their piece and were dipped out.
That was it.
That's the whole difference between a cult and a
Whereas
religion.
in a cult, it's the person still alive and dictating how it should be.
And telling the truth. And they're telling the truth. Their own truth, but it's the truth.
It's the truth, wholeheartedly.
Like David Koresh, we spoke about this before. David Koresh believed every fucking word he ever said.
100%.
100%.
To a fucking T. Jim Jones backed out at the last minute.
Pussy.
Had his guard shoot him instead of drinking the fucking Flavor Aid. Use Flavor Aid. That's still the most insulting thing that motherfucker did.
One of the more fascinating things about this kind of conspiracy is you're delving into a little bit of modernization toward the tail end. Mm-hmm. So anything that happens after 2000, we can kind of say like, okay, everyone just shut the fuck up.
Computer died.
Yeah. Anything after 1985 to 2000, though, there's room for conspiracy, right? Because things were done a little bit differently.
It's not all in the cloud.
It's not on the cloud, man. It's not part of the big thing.
You're at the mercy of if the FBI says, "All right, we'll cater to your little Freedom of Information Act." Yep. And release this stuff, but we're going to release it on our own terms. It's kind of like when you're indicted, like these guys that get indicted for murder cases and they rat out everybody else, but try to make the crimes seem less like they were involved. Like, I was there, but I didn't pull the trigger. I saw this guy, and this guy pull the trigger. It's kind of the same concept.
When in truth, it's like, no, I stabbed him 4 times.
I stabbed him 4 times
in front of my friends,
and then made them shoot him or let them shoot this guy. It's the CIA investigating itself.
Right.
How well do you think that's going to go?
It's like cops investigating themselves. It doesn't go well.
I think of that story.
Kill anybody. I just taught them how to launder money.
I think of that story from fucking New York City where the NYPD was in the Bronx and they had undercover cops posing as drug dealers and undercover cops posing as drug buyers, and the undercover cops
arrested each other.
They just arrested one another. It was just like, you're under arrest, asshole. Oh, wait a minute. You're not gonna believe this, dude.
Oh, I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna believe in the inept.
They cut my pension
of these dumb fucks who don't talk to each other. Because that's another part of this. The FBI, the CIA at this time, and Homeland Security do not talk to each other.
But what gets me
aren't they all also very decompartmentalized?
Yeah.
Now they are.
I can't say out loud.
Now they are, but back then not so much. They're still very compartmentalized because they're all kind of like snooty and better than everybody else.
Yeah.
But even within themselves, like,
in a way,
it's plausible that 3 CIA guys were just kind of doing this on the side and then got busted with their pants down.
If the CIA can have members
literally
that do cocaine on the side, not get caught for a while until that piss test comes up, I think they could do this shit. Yeah. It's easy. It's easy to fucking fly under the radar and make that second floor man cook.
Even not fly under the radar, just blatantly fucking do it.
Right.
That's
and
another
lie.
part of this. And like you have people in the FBI who blatantly do fucking terrible shit. Then you have the CIA doing the same thing, except the CIA can print their own fucking money if they wanted to.
Yeah.
That's another part of this. Is this part of the black budget of the
was this the Bush years of the CIA?
No, this was up until 1993. So it went from Reagan to George Bush Senior.
No.
Yeah,
who was the former director of the CIA.
Yeah, is this when he was director of the CIA?
No, he was not.
He was president at this time because this later
he was a director of the CIA a long time ago during the time of Nixon.
This is around the end of the Reagan years, going into the beginning of the Bush Senior years, because 1993 is when all the stuff from Customs comes out.
This is where we start ramping up for things like the Gulf War.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia freaking out and wanting U.S. to be involved in Kuwait being invaded by Iraq. And then you have the Kingdom getting involved, which ends up becoming OPEC.
Government-sponsored dictatorship in a way.
You shut the fuck up. That's democracy. Everyone put a piece of paper in the box. Everyone.
Well, this man with an AK-47 watches you.
He's a poll watcher. He's doing his job.
He's doing his job. That gun is to protect for your safety.
Your safety. That's why he's pointing it towards you. Your safety.
And if you look closely, he's pointing it just above your vital organs, so he might catch you in the collarbone, but you know what? You're gonna live. You're gonna have a shattered fucking collarbone, but you'll live. You'll be walking.
That's not how AK bullet works, but
no, it's fine. It's fine. They don't know. They're not educated. We don't make them read. Half of these people in here can read.
But yeah, so it goes into the Bush years, which later into the Clinton years, which back into the Bush years. So yeah, Bush family's really kicking
double
ass.
Bush, baby. You 70s couldn't kill the Bush, neither could the 90s.
No, man, he protected Texas from the Viet Cong.
Am I late? George, it's fucking 1989.
Well, folks, that was another episode of the Cryptic Conspiracy Cult. This is, like I said, part 1 of a multi-part series on the Finders Cult. We will be back periodically with other episodes in between. This is going to take some time, so bear with us.
I got to get the yarn. Michael's ran out of red yarn. They barred me. They got my fucking photo at the front door now.
Alex is going to be really upset when I take down all his posters and just start putting up fucking red fucking twine everywhere.
Dude, what happened to my Misfits poster? Man, fuck the Misfits. We got better shit to worry about. Look at this world map we constructed.
Look at this map I've constructed of the world, upside down and flat.
Upside down and flat. And I've also got like all these photos of major world leaders and celebrities somehow being involved with one another.
I think my favorite thing is if all these were true.
That'd be fucked.
That would be fucking fantastic if every conspiracy was true. There is a Mothman. There is a Bigfoot.
The Loch Ness Monster really is real.
Or is dead.
Or is dead. They killed it.
They've been doing like some kaiju cybernetic shit.
Scotland Yard was involved in it.
Mecca Loch Ness.
Someone call Guillermo del Toro right now.
Get him on the line.
John Cena's not real. He's actually an astral projection of an old man.
He's a collective astral projection.
He's a collective
He's a topa of all wrestling fans.
Yes, because there's so many people believing all the same thing at one time so strongly that he's real to them.
Yes.
and it's seeped
and he makes
out.
terrible movies.
It's kind of like when you take a lot of LSD with a group of people, and you all kind of have the same hallucinations.
Well, folks, thanks for listening. Let us know in the Discord of any other cryptids or conspiracies, hell, even cults you want us to talk about. Thank you, Mikey, for coming back.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having
We'll
me.
have you back for another one, I'm sure. Maybe we'll have Cap, too. I just want to do one that just scares the shit out of him. Maybe like a family of cannibals that live in Tennessee.